What's up, guys? It's Cam from True Connection here, and today I want to talk about how introverts can actually shoot themselves in the foot a lot of times with what I like to call the introvert paradox. Now, it goes something like this: introvert wants to change, but the behavior or the action that the introvert needs to do doesn't feel natural. So, because it doesn't feel natural, they don't want to do it, right? They don't want to do it maybe because of a moral reason, maybe because of some kind of discomfort, maybe because it feels like, it doesn't feel like second nature. They're having to make the effort. And it just doesn't feel like that's who they are, right? So they don't want to do the behavior. Why? It doesn't feel natural. And why doesn't it feel natural? Because it doesn't feel natural. Do you get that? So it's like, can you explain why it doesn't feel natural? And a lot of times they can't, or in your case, maybe you can't. You can't explain why it doesn't feel natural, right? And so you spend all of this time in your head, instead of actually taking the action, right? You spend all this time thinking like, oh, does this convey who I really am to the world? Does this seem like the genuine me deep down inside, right? And you obsess over these micro details, or these kind of concepts of like right or wrong or true and false and all this stuff, and you waste a lot of time that way, right? A lot of introverts, you kind of get sold on the idea. You might see people you want to be like, and you might say to yourself, I'd love to be like that person one day, right? So that's like the first stage. And then the second stage is people tell you, right, well, this is what you have to do, right? This is what you have to do. This is how you have to act. This is how you have to think. And then, boom, you get that initial hesitation. It's like, no, I can't do that. That's not me. And so you're shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. Because you have to realize that your ego is actually getting in the way, right? You might have a genuine reason why, something might not feel 100% like something you would do normally. But your ego is the one that's actually keeping you stuck in this kind of in the mud, so to speak. Yeah, it's keeping you stuck in the mud. And it's going to convince you that like you shouldn't take on a new behavior or a new personality trait or a new personality full stop, right? Because it's trying to keep you in this sense of personhood that you are now. And this person that you are might not be particularly the most confident, might not be particularly the most outgoing or the most resourceful or whatever, right? But your ego is designed to keep you like from being hurt or being embarrassed or being shamed or whatever, right? But on the other hand, the ego that is working behind the scenes right now, it's not making you feel particularly good either, yeah? So that's why you're in this paradox, you're kind of in this neurosis, you could say. And so you have to try and get out of this trap, this paradox, and you have to start kind of being comfortable. You have to be actually open-minded, is the word, open-minded to doing new things, okay? Because you're initially, if you have this kind of sense of kind of something not feeling natural, not feeling comfortable right away, you're going to limit yourself a lot, right? And you have to understand that anytime there's any kind of social interaction going on, any kind of communication, whether that's with with an employer, whether that's you're selling an idea to like a friend or a business partner, there is going to be an element of technique involved, okay? Not everything people do is going to be 100% true in every case, right? Sometimes people just have to learn what's effective, like what's effective communication, what's effective marketing, what's effective persuasion, right? And that's like in a business sense. So when it comes to maybe meeting someone you actually like or you want to talk to, you have to get these ideas out of your head that like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like doing it, or I don't want to make eye contact because I don't normally make eye contact with people, therefore I'm not gonna do it because it's like it's uncomfortable, right? So The big distinction is that what you call unnatural is just uncomfortable. Okay, so natural equals comfortable, and that's a terrible place to be, right? Because so many of the things that you're going to have to do in order to be more confident to get better experiences is that you're going to have to do things which are uncomfortable, and therefore, according to your definition, they're not going to fit with who you think you are right now. Okay, so really, what we need to do is like if you're a beginner, is we need to untangle some of these thoughts, right? Untangle some of these belief systems in you, because you're not actually going to try anything new out. You're not actually going to take on what anyone's saying. Um, and that's why, to be honest, that's why sometimes a lot of people who get into this, or they become very socially effective, right? Very good communicators, very good leaders, very good whatever. Um, you know, entrepreneurs, they don't think about this idea of if something is, uh, if it feels natural or da da da. They just think about like, does it work? Does it help me get from A to B? And although that's a very reductionist way of looking at the world, um, that's why a lot of those people make progress faster compared to someone like you. Because every time someone tells you to do something, there's always like an excuse, there's always a hesitation, there's always some kind of thing in the back of your head being like, oh no, that sounds weird, that sounds like a bit strange, right? So you have to, this little voice in your head which is like critiquing what you're being told, you have to shut that down for a bit, and you just have to be able to implement things regardless of whether it sounds cool or it sounds ridiculous or it sounds whatever. And if you can do that, if you can truly open your mind, then you will be on the right path. You will be on a path of ultimate success, whether that's in half a year, whether that's in a month, whatever. You'll be on that trajectory, right? But too much thinking, too much analyzing and judging what someone's suggesting, that is the big curse. So yeah, that is the introvert paradox. But let me know what you think about that, and look forward to speaking to you guys more. Peace.